In the year 41 BCE, Cleopatra is fleeing an attack by the Roman army after her navy's defeat at the Battle of Actium. She goes to her tomb beneath the Sphinx to bury the treasure, which is guarded by army of the undead, and summon a spell to protect the hidden treasure. In the present day, Wilma is restoring the Sphinx and comes across an ancient necklace. She then goes to show Prince Omar, who is leading the restoration, and they accidentally discover the tomb of Cleopatra. Meanwhile, the gang, who hasn't seen Wilma in 6 months, goes to Egypt to surprise her. However, the mystery machine runs out of water in the radiator in the middle of the desert. Scooby-Doo and Shaggy try to find water for the mystery machine, and find a lake with the water, which turns out to be a mirage. The gang meets an Egyptian named Amal Ali Akbar and his hawk Horus. Amal is able to use his camels to tow the mystery machine and help the gang get to the Sphinx. Their Here meet Fair Faces, host Rock Rivers, whose show was recently cancelled because he faked some footage. He tells them he is in Egypt investigating a curse. Scooby picks up a scent on the old nose Reda, and leads the gang to Velma. Wilma is surprised to see her friends. Daphne notices something around Wilma's neck. Wilma then shows the gang the ancient necklace she found. She introduces the gang to Omar and they start to explain the curse. Suddenly, the gang is surrounded by a swarm of dirt bikes and helicopters. Dr. Amelia Von Buch, an archaeologist and treasure hunter, steps out of one of the helicopters and proceeds to the tomb. Wilma and Omar plead with Von Buch not to enter the tomb by telling her of the curse, which says all who enter will be turned to stone. They are not successful. Ellen Von Buch and her team use explosives to open the tomb, unleashing the curse. Outside, a sandstorm begins and the gang, having gone out to investigate, runs back into the tomb to find Omar turned to stone. Despite the curse, Von Buch decides to enter the tomb. Fred decides to solve the mystery, although Velma protests, saying it is too dangerous. Ultimately, she agrees. Scooby and Shaggy want to guard Omar, but Fred tells them that they should not split up. The gang follows Von Buch, setting off a trap in the process separating Scooby and Shaggy. Scooby and Shaggy are attacked by the army of the undead. Soon after, the rest of the gang, Von Buch and her minions, are also attacked. Scooby and Shaggy fall down a hole, causing Scooby to lose his collar. Wilma slips on the ground and drops her glasses. A mummy gives them back to her and she is attacked. Fred and Daphne hear her screams and run to save her, but find Wilma turned to stone, so they take the journal and the necklace. Fred and Daphne continue searching for Scooby and Shaggy until they bump into Rock Rivers. Together they search through some of the tomb and discover that the necklace is key to the curse. They meet up with Von Buch and are all attacked by Cleopatra. Cleopatra releases a swarm of locusts, but Fred and Daphne escape on one of Von Buch's dirt bikes. Scooby and Shaggy discover a lost city where they are mistaken for the returning pharaoh Ascubis and his lanky manservant Shagan Khaman. In the lost city, Scooby and Shaggy are being honored with a feast. The lost city's leader, Hotep, who explains as the people in the village choose to live like pharaohs of old. During the feast, Hotep sneaks away into his secret chamber. In a nearby town, at a bazaar, Fred and Daphne are attacked by a disguise. Said Von Buch and her henchmen Campbell and Natasha. Fred and Daphne are hit by a sleeping powder as Von Buch steals the necklace from them. Later that night, Amal finds Fred and Daphne wakes them up. He tells them that Horus is looking for Shaggy and Scooby. Horus finds Scooby's collar and leads them to where he found it. Meanwhile, Hotep attempts to feed Shaggy and Scooby to his spirit of the sand. The spirit is revealed to be a robot when it falls into the river. Fred and Daphne arrive with Amal, who reveals Hotep to be a wanted brilliant civil engineer named Armin Granger, who is illegally damming the Nile River. And he is taken away by authorities. With sad, heavy hearts, Fred and Daphne tell Scooby and Shaggy about what happened to Wilma, devastating them. Daphne gives back Scoob-Wise collar until she realizes that Von Butch stole the necklace. The gang comes up with a plan. Fred, Shaggy and Scooby enter the tomb and discover Rock Rivers, who has been turned to stone. Meanwhile, Von Butch is kidnapped by the mummies. Shaggy and Scooby disguise themselves as mummies to sneak in but are soon discovered. Cleopatra arrives and turns Von Butch's minions to stone. Fred signals and Daphne, dressed as Cleopatra, leads an army composed of the citizens of the lost city into Cleopatra's tomb. In the chaos, Von Butch sneaks into the chamber, stealing the crown of Cleopatra and cows. In the Nile River to burst through the tomb, undamming the Nile and flushing out the riches hidden in the tomb, thus restoring the treasure to the people of Egypt, according to Cleopatra's last wish. The mystery is solved when it is revealed that Cleopatra's mummy was really Velma, who had planned the whole thing along with Prince Omar and his workers in order to scare away treasure hunters. Iya had made cement copies of themselves to pass off as victims of the curse. Von Butch and her team are arrested and taken to prison. Wilma apologizes to the gang for not letting them in on her and Omar's plan, but claims that she did it to protect them, feeling that it was too dangerous to include them and that if something had happened to them, she would never forgive herself, and she begs for their forgiveness. The gang forgives her. Sometime later, the restoration of the Sphinx is finally completed. When Shaggy fires a jumbo-sized firecracker, it hits the Sphinx's nose, which once again falls off. Omar states that the Sphinx looks better this way, and the gang shares a laugh.